Hello dear viewers, welcome to the new video. We played against Vasa 1973 with 2237 rating and our rating was 2417 question mark. We were black. So let's see. d4 knight f6. I played according to the proposed repertoire. Knight f3 d6 c4 knight b d7 g3. So he goes for the fianchetto variation, and after e5 bishop g2 I decided to fianchetto my bishop too. Other option was to just develop it to e7. Let's see what happened. Castles, bishop g7, rook e1, castles, knight c3. I wanted to cover this square, so I played c6, and my opponent decided to simplify with d takes e5, knight e5, knight e5, d5, bishop g5. So apparently he is going for a simple position where draw is a very likely outcome. Probably this was influenced by the difference in ratings. So let's see. Queen d1, rook d1, bishop e6, attacking the c4 pawn, winning a little tempo. b3, h6, getting rid of this nasty pressure on f6. So bishop f6, knight e4, bishop e7, not going back because I wanted to have this square under control. And after knight d6, this knight is hard to live with, so I exchange it. And after rook d8, rook d1, rook d6, rook d6, I have to make a decision. Now, what is that decision? It is about whether I should exchange this pair of rooks or keep the rooks on the board. Now, I have a few more moves to make before I can do that, but still, it's time to think about that stuff. Let's see. King f8, f4, e takes, g takes, king e7, c5, and now I must decide. Exchanging these rooks would probably lead to a position which is hard to win for either side. On one hand, white has two pawns on the light squares, and that is the color of my bishop, but I also have some pawns on the light squares, which is the color of his bishop. So these two, they sort of balance each other out, and it's not so easy to play for a win from here. That's why I decided to push a5, trying to activate my rook with keeping in mind the same idea that his pawns are the target for my bishop and my pawns are the target for his bishop. But I was trying to take advantage of his nicely looking rook on d6, which looks really nice but doesn't do much. So, what is black's strat? The strat is to play a4 and undermine these pawns. And how should white react? Well, he should have played rook d4 to cover against that threat. Then it would just be an exchange of pawns and also maybe exchange of rooks. Also, sometimes he can go to b4 and pressure me here, so he gets enough counterplay. But he erred. He played a3, hoping for bishop b3 and probably f5, trying to activate his rook. And I misevaluated this. I thought, all right, now he's gonna win a pawn here, but actually he is losing a pawn when we add all together. And yeah, he has this passed pawn, but I have my trumps. My rook can quickly come into play, and then if I win this pawn, this one becomes dangerous. Also, the g file is unpleasant for him. It's you just need to decide where to strike and how. But this was the way to go. Anyway, I played g5, hoping for exchange, and then this idea of his rook laterally capturing something doesn't work because I removed all my pawns from the 6th rank, and if he pushes, then I can activate my rook like this and start attacking him from the back. That was the idea, at least. Let's go back to the position after g5, and none of this happened because my opponent chose to support his f4 pawn, and now I supported my g5 pawn, and now I'm really threatening to capture here. And he saved his pawn, but my rook gets active. This was the whole point of marching this a pawn from a7. And as you can see, even in a seemingly dead equal positions, you can generate play if you try really hard and if you get some help from your opponent. And now I give this check just to see where he will go, and he went on the wrong square. So why is g3 the wrong square? Because suddenly his king falls into sort of a mating net after a good move that I found h5. There is a threat of h4, and then with g4 winning the bishop because the king would have to go out. And my opponent played h3, which is losing, but I missed an opportunity to exchange first, and after h4, if he goes back, then I utilize the pin and win material, and if he goes forward, then it's just a skewer, so he would have to give up the exchange. I actually missed this sequence, and instead of including gf, I started with h4 check, which gives him an extra option, and that is after king f3, bishop d5, he can block with his pawn. Had I exchanged first, the e pawn would be on the f file, and this push wouldn't be there. Alright, so I decided to win the pawn, which probably leads to an equal rook endgame, but that's the best I came up with. So bishop takes, king takes, rook takes. Now king f5, that was not great. He should have counterattacked with b5. That was the move I was afraid of, but he didn't play it, and now my chances are looking good. I took on f4, and he went back with the king, and I attacked his h3 pawn. And let's just go quickly to the next phase, since there are many possibilities for each side, and many moves here are mistakes on both sides, but I don't want to make it a too long video. So I'm just going to present you in the end how I came up with a winning plan, a possible winning plan if opponent airs. So this is the position I aimed for. So what was my idea here? Well, the idea is when we exchange these pawns, I can capture on c5 with check. And now he must find king a6 to save the game, because with the move king c7, his king cannot help him stop this pawn. And I actually let the win slip away here with rook c4. Uh, but after rook h5, king b4, he made a mistake with king d6, which looks like the most natural move, but actually rook h1 was the way to go. So not an easy endgame to play, but once he went to d6, now actually it was easy. But before that, it was not so easy to find the correct moves for both sides. Now you see his king is cut off, and he cannot stop this pawn. It will take me some moves, but it will promote, definitely. Okay, let's see how the game finished. So there was some play of cat and mouse, and eventually I set up my pieces in a way that my pawn can go forward where he cannot stop it, and here white resigned. Um, what can I say? Far from a perfect game, many mistakes on both sides, but it's a good example of how you can try and play for a win in a seemingly equal, or not seemingly, objectively equal positions, where you can still play, but you need to think out of the box and create some chances. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.